President Barrow promises to monthly salaries for alcalos beginning in 2022. And Gambia's Chief of Defense Staff expresses delight for conducting a successful nationwide military tour. And the Gambia civil society organizations vow to support the government's implementation of the TRRC recommendations. Well, these and more coming ahead in this week. Hello, this is Africa TV. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, President Barrow, during his meeting with the local authorities, including alcalos and chiefs from the West Coast region, pledged to pay alcalos a monthly salary by 2022. The Gambian leader says alcalos are also part of the government and they should be paid like any other government employee. The CISE has more of that in this report.
Ahead of the most anticipated December 4th presidential election, political parties in the Gambia are busy making promises to the Gambian people. In a meeting with the local authorities of the West Coast region at the State House on Saturday, President Barrow urges the alcalos and chiefs to work together with his government in order to develop the country. The leader and the Secretary General of the National People's Party vowed to pay monthly salaries to all alcalos in the country for their relentless service to the nation.
The
alkalolu have been complaining about their payment issue, but I can tell you we have sat and discussed the matter, and I am confident that by 2022, alkalolu will start receiving salaries in this country. We know that alkalolu are important, they are doing great job, and they are working for the government. And anyone who is working for the government, including me, is receiving salary. So then why are alkalolu discriminated? I want everyone in the Gambia to receive their benefit from the government. So we are discussing the matter and it must happen.
President Barrow says he is different to politicians who promised and failed, saying anything he promised he will make sure it is implemented. He urged the chiefs and alcalos not to allow anyone to intimidate them in the process of executing their duties. The National People's Party leader reminded the chiefs and alcalos about their positions and how important it is for them to support and loyal to his government.
What I'll tell you, what I'll tell you,
Alkalolu are part of the government, and anyone who is an opposition to my government should be an opposition to you as well. Someone who is opposing you, how can you support that person? It is like betraying yourself. No matter how educated you are, how big your position is, if you are not loyal, there is no use in holding that position. Loyalty is above everything. And the position you are holding as chiefs and alkalolu is a very important position, if only you know your job and what to do.
President Barrow also expressed delight over the visit by the local authorities in what he described as a sign of confidence for his party. According to him, this indicates that the people of the West Coast region are behind the National People's Party. As the countdown continues, NPP, like any other political party, is optimistic of sweeping the December polls. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
This is a reporting there as President Barrow meets the authorities of West Coast region, and he promised to pay salaries to alcalos by 2022, beginning 2022. Now, else in other news, in a bid to mitigate the impact of waste management in their country, Ugandan citizens are using their skills to turn waste plastics into valuable materials for public use. The new initiative has given young people the opportunity to learn new skills to boost their well-being. While there are plans to widen the project, there are still challenges confronting the initiatives thanks to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Chinawataka, a slum in Uganda's capital Kampala. More than 20,000 people live here. Most of their garbage ends up in places like these. But for this team, the straws are treasure, not trash.
We can collect like one sack because we can't find one, like 3 sacks at the same garbage. We usually move collecting.
Straws and plastic bottles make up an estimated 600 tons of plastics consumed in Uganda every day. 73-year-old Benedicta Nanyonga is at the forefront of waste management in this area. Through her organization, the Chinawataka Women's Initiative, she has built a movement to eliminate single-use plastics.
So many people around, you find that some, they do come and we have collected this. In returns, you give a token to her to encourage her or him to see that the plastic is being collected from the place where they are.
The collected plastics, mostly straws, are then turned into sellable merchandise. These are some of the products made here: mats, school bags, and even hand wallets. They are sold to help keep the project running, and there are plans to build a bigger training center so more young people can learn these skills. Harriet Nachaine has been here for 2 months now. She is one of over 6,000 young volunteers that have gained skills from the initiative.
I've got the skill of weaving because since my childhood I never involved myself in weaving.
While Benedicta has made significant progress, she still faces challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic has kept many trainees away. The lack of proper tools is making work difficult.
Another problem is pressing the straws because it makes the fingers sometimes to swollen. And also it is a big problem that when we are pressing the straws, it decreases our production.
For Nanyonga, there is no giving up on the fight against plastics. She wants to continue raising public awareness, straw by straw.
And from that inspiring report there from Kampala, Uganda. Now, the Association of Non-Governmental Organizations, TANGO, and the civil society organizations on Friday held a press conference on the role of CSOs on the aftermath of the TRRC. The chairman of the CSOs placed support for the Gambian government in implementing the much-awaited TRRC recommendations as well as their pronouncement. The CISE has more details of that again in this report.
The Third Reconciliation and Reparations Commission was given the mandate to investigate alleged human rights violations committed under the 22-year rule of former President Yahya Jammeh. Following the conclusion of its public hearings, the Commission is expected to submit the final recommendations to the Office of the President on the 12th of July 2021. To this effect, the civil society organization has called on the government to brace up for the implementation of the much-awaited recommendations in a very transparent manner. The chairman of the civil society organizations, John Charles Njai, expressed their readiness to support the government in the implementation of TRRC recommendations as a matter of urgency.
As we come to the close of the TRRC, which we understand shall be submitting their final report to the President on the 12th of July 2021. We are determined to play a leading and central role in the post-TRRC era. As required by law, the TRRC conducted its mission to document a true and impartial record of human rights violations of the previous regime from 1994 to 2017. When it submits its final report, including its recommendations to the President, It is the government of the Gambia that bears primary responsibility to implement the recommendations contained in that report. Our role as civil society is to support the Gambian government to effectively and efficiently implement those recommendations within the shortest possible time.
He defines implementation of the recommendations to come from the Third Commission as a matter of national priority, as it is necessary to ensure justice and accountability. It is anticipated that the final document to emanate from the Commission will lay a solid foundation for the reconciliation and reparations that will then unify the population towards the common good. The civil society organizations have been in the picture from different angles during the TRRC's operational stages.
As a community, we wish to report that we have been engaging over the period in seeking to determine what role we can play in the post-TRRC era. At the moment, we have developed a comprehensive roadmap to guide our engagement. The details of the roadmap will be shared immediately as I finish by Mr. Jobate on the way forward. Essentially, it is intended to make civil society a lead and central player by offering all support to the government and to the society as a whole in helping the country move in peace and be united in purpose.
Charles Njai encouraged Gambians to prepare their minds to accept the truth and counts of the TRRC's investigations through the recommendations to be delivered in about 2 weeks' time.
The government and all of us need to state that these recommendations are not intended to divide, revenge, witch hunt, or cause chaos. For that matter, Tango and civil society urges all Gambians to also be prepared to recognize and accept the truth and be prepared to help and correct the mistakes of the past.
The findings and conclusions of the TRRC are designed to help transform and reform institutions that aided and enabled violations of human rights between 1994 and 2017. It is therefore a matter of weeks, if not days, to tell how justice might take its course as a result of the 3-year-long process around the TRRC on the Never Again slogan. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
Gambia's CSOs vowed to support the government's implementation of the TRRC recommendations as to when they are submitted to the government. Elsewhere, the sit-down strike by the Staff Association of the University of the Gambia has disrupted the schedule and end of the semester examinations, making students to wonder about their fate. The industrial action, which began on Thursday, came as staff demand for transparency in the search for a new vice-chancellor of the university. Despite having prepared to write their examination, students are left in the middle of the dust due to fermenting bitter relations between management and her staff. Let's have more details of that in this report.
The call to this industrial action was cooked during an extraordinary congress by the Faculty and Staff Association of the University of the Gambia on Monday. They listed down a number of demands, including the need for due process in the replacement of the current Vice-Chancellor, whose term has ended. The move reflected thawing relationship between the senior management team together with the Governing Council of the University and its Faculty and Staff Association. Few weeks ago, President of the Staff Association announced his resignation from the committee responsible for the selection of a new Vice-Chancellor over lack of due respect to rules and procedures in the country's premier academic institution. While these elephants are in such a tussle, The grasses before them in the images of the learners are forced to change directions from the end of semester examination halls. The cancelling of examination is uncalled for. It constitutes a violation of their right to education, in the voice of Chernogay, who in fact questioned the call for their patience.
Why are the lecturers asking students to stay? What do we have to gain if we don't come to school? If the exam is cancelled, what do we gain as students? That's the question we ask. We gain nothing. We've paid our tuition fee. And if we miss the semester, that means added time. And we don't want that. We don't want to spend more time here or spend more money here. So
Mr. Gay expected the Students' Union to take its rightful duty on the negotiation tables or by any means possible to prevent sorry situation for them.
So here is the reality of what is happening right now. The University of the Gambia is not in isolation. So what that means is the Student Union of the University of the Gambia doesn't operate in isolation. There are things happening outside that affect the university. Do you understand? So decision, for example, from the President, from the Ministry of Higher Education will affect the university. Other things happening within the country will affect the university. So how do we make sure that the Student Union, as a body representing the students, the entire student body of the University of the Gambia, comes out and deal with issues that are affecting students, right? But they are not doing that. They react. Do you understand? So they wait for things to happen, then they start to do that. They preempt nothing. They solve no problems. They don't look at anything and say, okay, there's a problem we want to solve. But my point is this, they have power. What that means is the student union can shut down this university. The student union can decide that there will be no lectures. The student union can decide that they can actually burn the damn university down. That's how much power they have.
Amadou Ba, a third-year law student, described the strike as inconvenient for bookish like him.
Individually, it is affecting me. Like we are all prepared for the exams. No, I know you are also a student. You know how painful it is for you to prepare for an exam, only to find out that it is gone. Because when as things are being delayed, you will tend to forget some things and you have to go over all over again. And people also have other things to do. People are students, but they are working. They have other things to do. And people, for me, for example, I took a leave from my working place to do the exams, and now it has been delayed. So let's say, for example, if they schedule it again, I'll have to take another leave again, and that might not go well with my employers.
President of the Faculty and Staff Association of the UTG told Fati Network on Wednesday that the withdrawal of staff labor will continue as long as their demands are not met. He, although, said the table is open for negotiations. In reaction to the move by the Staff Association, management of the university branded the strike as very bizarre and incomprehensible, alleging that there was no prior dialogue over the matters. Khadija Seka, iAfrica News.
Khadija Seka reporting there as students of the University of the Gambia are left worried as the Staff Association of the university are on a sit-down strike. And from that report, we'll now take a break and come back shortly with the remainder of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands. Feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back, and this is iAfrica TV, and once again, many thanks for joining us. Now, the leader of the opposition, United Democratic Party, Ousainou Darboe, holds a press conference to clarify the party's position on the insulting audio against Wolof tribe that is circulating on social media. Darboe says NPP is circulating an audio done in 2020 to fuel tribalism in the Gambia. The UDP leader says his party has distanced itself from insults and strongly condemned it and doesn't owe anybody an apology. Details of that in the report by Omar Ahmed Toure.
Usainu Dabo says it is utter dismay to hear an audio with indecent statements and abusive language that are circulated on social media, which according to him is a check to Gambians. The UDP standard bearer accuses President Barrow's National People's Party of fueling tribalism in the Gambia.
Currently, the NPP knows that they are losing ground, and they are losing ground very, very fast. That audio in 2020, they now take it and inject it in the social media now to make it, as we say, a fresh happening, new happening. This is what is happening. The fact NPP is the party that is really fomenting tribalism in this country, because bringing out this audio that was made in 2020, now you are really putting tribes against each other, and they just shows that this is a party that has absolutely no interest of this country at heart. TRRC, with all their terrible things, they have never resorted to this type of dirty politics.
Mr. Dabo also says UDP party delays its statement when the said audio was released on social media after someone asked him to apologize to the Wolof community, without which he would reveal secrets about the leader. Dabo says he is ready for any revelation, whether imagined or real. He has, however, distanced his party from insults, saying it has nothing to apologize for, but has denounced the act.
Because this is not sanctioned by the United Democratic Party and is not supported by the United Democratic Party, but we condemn it. Vehemently, condemn it vehemently. That is outrageous, it was unacceptable, it is disgusting, it is polarizing, it is a cause of instability. We condemn it for that. But we do not apologize to anybody. And I must make it abundantly clear that anyone in his right mind will not think that Usainu Dabo will encourage anybody to say anything against Wolofs in this country. Because being so, I'll be encouraging people to say something against my wives, against the families of my wives. They are Wolof, pure Wolof, Banjul. So I will not be part of anything that will be demeaning to the Wolofs, whether in Banjul or anywhere else.
As elections draw nearer, Dabo, the leader for UDP, urges Gambians to stay away from conflict, while advising everyone to maintain peace during and after upcoming elections.
Of course, as we move on to the elections, every effort must be made to ensure that we have a violent-free elections, both during the campaign and post-elections. Gambian elections have never been marred by violence, and we cannot allow the 2021 elections and subsequent elections following it to be marred by violence.
Lawyer Usainu Dabo says Gambians should not allow failed political parties to inject violence in the Gambia. He calls on party militants to desist from insulting people, even when those insults are directed to him. He says those insulting him and others are doing it in the name of dirty politics. Reporting for iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmad Toure.
Omar Ahmad Toure reporting there as the UDP leader, Usainu Dabo, speaks to the press on the issue of a circulating audio on the social media. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces is punching the air over his head for a successful nationwide tour of military installations as he returns to the Greater Banjul areas. He began with a direct move to military comrades positioned in various areas in the provinces in the upper, central, north and lower river regions, coming down to the west coast. At the Union Barracks, where the tour ended, The army chief met with troops, community leaders and students to sell the good image of the Gambian army. Details of that in this report by Mariama Cham.
The fourth day of his second phase of the military tour began at the former president's horticultural project in Banjulunding, where the chief of defense staff met soldiers assigned on the farm. Their administration led the tour of the 14.8 hectares of vegetable cover, showing the commitment of the army in the field of agriculture. As opposed to criticism that farming isn't among the expected ventures of the military, CDS Yakuba Drame vibrated the notion that holding guns is not the only job of the men in uniform. He saw horticulture and its related areas as one of the productive fields like education, engineering, and health through which the army can support national development. The army now eyes on partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture for capacity building to make good use of its manpower for the production of food for the country. His meeting at the 1st Infantry Battalion in Yundum featured a bilateral engagement with the community leaders of the area with a view to strengthen the relationship between the men in the barracks and the neighborhood. Both sides saw the need to reinforce one another in the maintenance of peace and security at all times. They shut down chances of divisible tribal sentiments, political immaturity, and other roots of potential tensions among the population. With the ECOWAS mission in the Gambia, CDS Drame, together with his delegation, held a closed-door meeting with the Nigerian contingent at the Yundum barracks on security matters. As if it was a renewal of command of discipline in the camp, soldiers observed ceremonial salutes to the top military officers of the two nations immediately after their closed-door session. Addressing troops in the Yundum camp, the CDS elaborated on the plights of soldiers and their need to strengthen relationship with the civilian community. His tour will wrap up at the Fajara Barracks, the Gambian Navy, and the Joint Services Headquarters in Banjul, where he will observe a sequence of events from the Upper River down to the West Coast regions. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
Reports filed in there by Mindao instead of Mariama Cham, as I mentioned earlier. But finally, tonight, the United Nations peacekeeping missions in different countries, including DR Congo, is set to continue after a new budget approval by the UN member nations. The move came as the United Nations threatened to end its missions due to the lack of adequate funding to continue its operations. Now, despite the new development, there has been concerns in some quarters in DR Congo in the manner in which the UN troops operate in the Central African nation. Let's have more details of that in this report.
A fragile security situation in the east of the DRC. Rebel attacks have left hundreds of people dead in Ituri and North Kivu province since the beginning of the year. UN peacekeepers have been helping the DRC army protect residents, but they have had to reduce their troop numbers due to funding shortfalls over the years.
We are also under pressure to reduce our budget, so we do need to prioritize the areas where we feel like we can make the most difference. That doesn't mean that the places that we leave are completely stable or are perfectly peaceful. It means that we assess that they reached a level of stability that can be handled by the Congolese authorities.
The UN recently sought a new budget of $6 billion to run its peacekeeping missions worldwide from July 1st to June 30th next year. It warned of a possible shutdown of its missions if the money was not approved soon. But UN member states have passed the budget in the nick of time. That means the UN peacekeeping mission in the DRC, known as MONUSCO, one of the largest in the world, can continue to operate. But the mission recently came under sharp criticism for failing to protect civilians from rebel attacks in eastern DRC.
It has been a waste having this mission in the DRC. It has been a waste of resources that the United Nations could have been utilized differently. You may know that the mission has been in this country for more than 2 decades, and they have been financed extremely, almost in every domain. They have gotten the money to do whatever the mission was supposed to be in Congo. But unfortunately, the result has not been there.
For many Congolese, the mission has overstayed its welcome.
If those UN troops leave our country, I will be very happy because they have been here for a very long time, but we have not seen any change in our security situation.
The UN currently operates 12 peacekeeping missions around the world. Most of them are in the Middle East and Africa. The troops have supported countries rocked by conflict like Mali and the Central African Republic. The budget of the UN peacekeeping operations is supposed to be raised from contributions by the 193 member states who make up the General Assembly, but the bulk of the contributions have traditionally been made by the US, followed by China and Japan. UN officials say the approval of the $6 billion budget has averted a looming crisis.
The United Nations member countries approved a new budget for UN peacekeeping missions to continue in many countries, including the TRRC. And from the report there, we will now bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on iafrica.tv. But for now, though, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and do have a very pleasant night. Bye for now.
Cheapest phone in the Gambia, Afriphone, is back in a brand new style. Africell, the biggest and the best GSM operator in the Gambia, is setting trends once again.
Get an Afriphone for $350 only and receive 1 hour of free